the 407 Connect program. They held a news conference just a few minutes ago outside City Hall Plaza, where they unveiled these buses that will help house the homeless. There's 2 buses. They are custom designed 45-foot long buses that they've retrofitted and turned into essentially emergency mobile shelters. They will have insulated sleeping pods. They have restrooms, storage space, onboard security as well. And together, this is going to allow them to house up to 42 people each night. They also will provide these folks with case management services to kind of help ease the transition. This is new to Orlando. This is not a new concept. It is modeled after the successful Dignity Bus program that was launched in Vero Beach. We heard just a little bit ago from Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and the Executive Director of the Christian Services Center about what this means for folks in Orlando.
I ran for office in 2003. I said one of the greatest challenges we have in Orlando is relating to homelessness, and it continues to be an issue for Orlando, for Florida, and for our nation as a whole. And the challenge is that it can't just be somebody else's problem. We simply can't push homelessness away and wish that it'll go away. We have to address it. We have to be part of the solution. We have to offer assistance to people in needing of support, and we have to do it together as a community. The City of Orlando remains committed to working with the community, and 407 Connects is a great example of that work and the collaboration and the innovation to do that. Through the city's partnership with the Christian Service Center, we hope to get more than 400 people into housing over the next 3 years, and it takes one step at a time. So we hope this also inspires other communities within our regions to look for solutions as well. I want to thank my Orlando City colleagues for their willingness to pursue bold strategies to meet the needs of our unsheltered population. I want to share my gratitude to the Christian Service Center, the great City of Orlando staff, Community Redevelopment Agency, and the Source for their support and determination. And finally, I want to thank the many residents who see past the myths of homelessness and are in favor of offering shelter and hope for our most vulnerable residents.
I want you to just take a moment with me and imagine a city where no one sleeps outside. Because today we launched something truly transformative, the 407 Connect project. This project's not just about buses, it's not just about beds, it's about imagination, dignity, compassion, and most importantly, conviction that every single person in Orlando deserves a safe place to sleep and a chance to rebuild their lives. Mayor Dyer and his team here at the City of Orlando have been fighting for unsheltered adults and children the entire length of his administration. They have had great successes, they've had a few setbacks, and they've remained undeterred because they know it's a fight worth fighting, it's a fight worth winning, and it's a fight we absolutely cannot lose. And for the Christian Service Center, this is a project that serves as the final piece of the puzzle for homeless services for us. We can now offer every conceivable service for people experiencing homelessness in Orlando. From food and showers to employment, to case management and medical help, and now a safe and dignified place to sleep. The Christian Service Center for Homelessness is now the region's first fully comprehensive center for adults and children experiencing homelessness, and I hope you'll give that a round of applause because it's taken a lot of work. These buses will shelter 42 people a night, but it won't be the same 42 people over the next 3 years. We expect more than 600 of our neighbors will find refuge here, and more than 407 of them will be connected to permanent housing, and that's why we call it 407 Connect. Mayor Dyer has led the city in building world-class venues. The Citrus Bowl renovation, the Kia Center, the amazing venue behind us at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. And today we add another landmark to this list. It's not in the same size and scope in terms of square footage, but it is important in that it restores hope. And just like these amazing venues that we have here, it shows that when Orlando dreams big, we make history. And we don't just look out for our visitors, we're the best at looking out for our visitors anywhere in the world.
Florida Live starts now.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Giving you a live look of Daytona Beach, and you see some storm clouds on the horizon there over the Atlantic. Meanwhile, along the East Coast, dealing with rough surf, large waves, dangerous swells and surf from Hurricane Erin. That is certainly impacts, indirect impacts, thankfully, but impacts nonetheless. And folks in North Carolina and even north of there bracing for some more impacts from that storm as it moves forward. Coming up later in our show, we are going to talk with our theme park experts about Halloween Horror Nights preparations ramping up 9 days out from the start of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. A lot of excitement for that, anticipation now building just a week and a half away. Democrats criticizing a push here in Florida for mid-decade redistricting. Meanwhile, we are monitoring live. This is a live look inside the Texas House of Representatives, where a vote is expected shortly on the new redistricting maps there. We know right now lawmakers are proposing some amendments. The one that is currently on the table is for an independent redistricting commission to take a look at these new districts and effectively put this the implementation of the new maps on hold until one is established. A step that is unlikely to pass, but we are monitoring this because those maps are expected to pass, and so we will try to listen in to the ongoing debate inside the state house in Texas with eyes toward what could be coming to Florida as part of that conversation. Coming up in our Tampa connection, a former deputy who was awaiting trial has been caught in South America after investigators say he spent months on the run. We'll talk with Nancy about that in just a few minutes, but we begin today with a suspended sheriff's estranged wife in court this afternoon. We are talking about Robin Severance Lopez, who is facing charges in connection with an alleged illegal gambling ring that also took down her husband, Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez, now suspended from office and facing charges as well. She was fighting today to get her GPS ankle monitor removed for a couple of reasons. You'll hear her go into it in just a minute. Some physical issues, some financial issues as well. The judge ended up granting that motion, but I do want to play for you as we heard from Severance Lopez in court just a little bit ago.
All right, you can proceed.
Thank you. Afternoon, would you state your name?
Robin Severance Lopez. Okay, ma'am, you're going to have to hold that microphone closer.
Robin Severance Lopez. Because we're here about the GPS monitor on your ankle, correct?
Yes,
Can you tell the court what physical problems you've had with the GPS monitor since it was put on?
So I've had like skin infections, and then I've also had where it hits a nerve. So when I walk, the nerve hits down by my ankle. It's uncomfortable when it hits the nerve.
And Ms. Lopez, I'm showing you a photo. Is this a photo that you took of the monitor on your ankle?
Yes, it is.
And does this show one of the infections that you received from wearing the monitor?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, are you getting a copy of the statement I approached?
Yes. Are we putting this into evidence?
I didn't have it pre-marked, but we can move it in. I'd ask to move it in as defense exhibit 1.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
That will be defense evidence 1.
Ms. Lopez, does the GPS monitor also cost you money every day?
Yes, it does.
And what is the cost?
It comes out to $10 a day.
Are you currently receiving any income from working?
No, I'm not.
The last time we were here in court, we heard testimony that you had some joint accounts with Marcos Lopez and you had one personal account at that time, right?
Yes, that's correct.
After that hearing, you were able to bond out shortly after?
Yes, I did.
Did the state then freeze that personal account?
Yes, they did.
Was that personal account where you had the money that you would have been able to pay GPS?
Yes, it was.
Is that personal account where you had the money that you would have been able to pay your attorney's fees?
Yes, it was.
Is that personal account what you would have used to pay other expenses in your life?
Yes, exactly.
Have you been able to regain access to any of the funds in that account?
No.
At this point, given that you're not receiving any income from working and that your personal account is frozen, can you afford the $10 per day for the GPS monitor?
No, I can't.
Have you been late on a GPS payment because you didn't have the funds to pay it?
Yes, I was.
And when you were late, was it threatened that you would be violated and put back in jail?
Yes, it was.
You posted a $400,000 bond to be out today, correct?
That is correct.
And that cost you, or it cost $40,000 in cash to get out?
Yes, it did.
And in addition, you had to provide full collateral to be here.
Correct.
And that collateral includes the home that you live in.
That is correct.
Did you also have to surrender your passport?
Yes, I did.
And have you done that?
Yes, I have.
Did you also have to surrender the firearm in your home?
I did, yes.
And you did that?
I did.
How many years have you lived in Florida?
Over 20.
And are all 20 of those years in Osceola County?
Most of them.
Where else are they?
Orange County.
Okay. So in Central Florida for more than 20 years.
Yes, that's correct.
Who do you currently reside with?
My son.
How old is he?
He's 15.
And it's just the two of you.
Yes.
Does he have a job or any income?
He does not. He goes to school.
Ms. Lopez, have you ever been arrested prior to this case?
No, I have not.
So, because this is your first case, you've never had a failure to appear in court?
No, I have not.
You've never been late to appear in court?
I don't believe so.
You've never violated a court order?
No.
In fact, you previously worked for the sheriff's office,
Yes, I did.
and you worked as a school resource officer.
I did.
You've been ordered to have no contact with Marcos Lopez, is that right?
That is correct.
And have you obeyed that court order?
Yes, I have.
And I asked this question at the last bond hearing concerning equity in the home. Is there equity in the home?
I believe there is.
Okay, well, they took you posted the house, I suspect. Ms. Yard, do you have an answer?
I do not know. I know that the house is in the name of her and Mr. Lopez, so that if there is equity, she can't pull it out without his agreement, and that he had to sign off on her using it as the collateral.
And ma'am, do you have any dual citizenship?
No.
And your son's 15, what grade?
None.
9th? And he just started 9th grade?
Yes.
And he's in school?
Yes.
Any close family members overseas?
No.
When was the last time you traveled overseas?
A year and a half ago?
And where'd you go?
Ireland.
And you don't have any real property overseas?
No, sir.
No, I know you said you don't have any other bank accounts ever mentioned, no bank accounts overseas?
No. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, ideally, this would have been handled prior to the defendant leaving jail. There was, this is what the state had asked for, the defendant agreed to it, and the convenience and the comfort of a GPS monitor is not a factor here. The factors concerning the protecting the community and ensuring that the defendant appears in court are the factors that I'm looking to. The defendant has strong ties to the community. She's posted a significant bond. It would be very easy for me to deny this motion. However, considering all the factors, I'm going to grant the defense's motion.
So the motion granted, Robin Severance Lopez will not have to wear that GPS ankle monitor. Here's a live look outside Alligator Alcatraz right now, where in the next few minutes we do expect to hear from Congressman Maxwell Frost, a Democrat from Orlando who represents Florida's 10th district. We do expect him to speak in a few minutes, holding a news conference ahead of a tour of the facility. So we will try to get you to that news conference live. We do want to warn you, unsure about the signal there, but we will do our best to bring that to you live here coming up on Florida Live. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Congressman Maxwell Frost has arrived outside Alligator Alcatraz. Let me give you a live look. This is courtesy WFOR, and he's getting ready to hold a news conference talking about this facility. He's been outspoken about it, criticizing it, as have a number of other Democratic lawmakers at the federal level and at the state level. You can also see a number of folks behind him holding signs there. He's getting ready to speak. Let's go ahead and listen in as he holds this news conference.
In the United States Congress, and today we're standing outside of the Everglades detention facility. Last month, was given a sanitized tour of this place. The night before I showed up with all the lawmakers, we heard reports of how detainees had magically received their first shower, some of their first decent meals. The night before I showed up, I had conversations with people who got this information firsthand. At the end of the day, in this facility, we have cages where humans are being held. 32 men per cage, crammed, only about 4 to 6 cages per tent. I want to be clear about what this facility really is. It's an internment camp for immigrants, and not just all immigrants, but immigrants that look like me, black and brown folks. A place full of people who are Latinos, Haitian men, subjugated to inhumane conditions under the guise of immigration enforcement. It is a shameful thing. It is a shameful thing and an evil thing, I believe. It's a place where, as of now, we've seen nearly 1,000 humans being forced to live in a tent city in the middle of the hot Florida summer, where folks are not getting enough food, detainees are being exposed to heat, wildlife, mosquitoes that can potentially carry disease, and are stripped of their civil rights. And it's all wrapped in performance and spectacle. The Trump administration and DHS want to make this look like order and security, but their social media posts, videos, and staged facility tours that attempt to make this place look like a theme park are nothing more than performative theater, but performative theater that has real impact on the lives of humans and Floridians. They post clips online so they can sell t-shirts, sell beer koozies. It's deliberate cruelty packaged for optics. Today I am here on a visit. Last time I came here was about a month ago with many members of Congress and state legislators. We took a almost nearly 2-hour tour of the facility where I saw inhumane conditions and humans being held in cages. Something that I was not able to do on that tour that I wanted to do is speak with detainees and speak with people that are being held here. I came with a thick binder full of the names and pictures of immigrants that are constituents of mine and people who have family members in my district that are being held there. I was unable to speak with them last trip. Today, I'm here to do that very thing. I am here for two main reasons. Number one, I'm going to be having conversations with detainees. I'm here to check on the well-being of my constituents, of the family members, and also of people that are Floridians that are being held here. And I will be having conversations with multiple detainees while I'm in the facility, and that is one of the main reasons I'm here. The second reason I'm here is because there are things that we did not get to see the last tour that I demand that I need to see. This includes the segregation unit, this includes the medical facility, and we have many other questions as well. I am honored that over the past month, we've been working closely with Friends of the Everglades, the Miccosukee tribe, and the ACLU in their lawsuit and their pursuit to get this place shut down. We know that we'll hear any minute today or anytime tomorrow from the judge. Our hope is that we will receive a decision, that they will receive a decision that shuts this place down. That's what we believe needs to happen. This place needs to be completely shut down because people are not being treated fairly. People are not getting their due process met. And we believe it just needs to be shut down. It is also a complete abuse and waste of our money and of our resources that are supposed to be used to keep Floridians safe when there's a hurricane. And right now we have Hurricane Aaron in the ocean. We have two systems developing right now, one with a 60% chance, one with a 40% chance. And they are using $450 million of the $500 million cap that the Office of Emergency Management can use without approval from the state to help keep our people safe. And no matter who you are, you have to see this as not just a stunt, but it's inhumane to Floridians, to people, to humans, but it is also a gross misuse of our resources and horrible for the environment that we're in right now. So the second part and the second reason I'm here is there's more information I have to collect that'll be useful, of course, for lawsuits, but also for me and my job of conducting oversight on the facility. I want to be clear. This facility is not about security. It's about entertainment. It's about optics. It's about distraction. And it's about deporting, and even, I think this isn't even deportation. It's kidnapping, and it's the trafficking of humans. And I said this last time, and I'll say it again. When I was in there, I didn't see people from all around the world that are immigrants that are in this country. I saw people from specific countries, and I only saw black and brown people being held. And there is a large racial component to what's going on in this facility and in ICE detention facilities across the country. So again, I'm here for two reasons. First, to check in on our constituents and Floridians who are detained inside, and second, to make it clear facilities like this have to be shut down, and we're hoping we'll receive a decision on that today or tomorrow. People deserve dignity. Families deserve justice, and our nation deserves an immigration system rooted in dignity and compassion for every single person who is here, not cruelty, not spectacle, and not political theater. Thank you. With that, I'll answer any questions. Well, day by day, there's more and more pressure being put on Republicans. And I have to call it the fact that we have 3 Latino members of Congress in the Miami area. Their constituents have been protesting them, reaching out to them, saying, why aren't you standing up on behalf of immigrants? Why aren't you standing up on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of people impacted by the recensions of TPS and things like that? We're talking about people from Cuba. I'm a Cuban American. My mom came here as a refugee. This is a very personal thing to me. We're talking about people from Venezuela, Nicaragua, people from Haiti, many of whom are families and constituents of the 3 members of Congress, Mario Diaz-Balart, Carlos Jimenez, and Maria Salazar, who have been silent and have been offering nothing but lip service to the communities that they supposedly are supposed to represent. And one of the top things the communities are asking for is shut this place down. So as that pressure continues, we hope that Republicans will come with us on this journey to make sure that we fight for humanity, for our constituents, and for our people. But the other thing is we are hoping that we'll make good ground here on these lawsuits, and specifically the lawsuit that's been filed by Friends of the Everglades, the Miccosukee tribe, alongside the ACLU. We're going to hear a decision any minute now, today or tomorrow. We from our last visit, put into the congressional record everything we saw in there. We took meticulous notes so that could be used in the lawsuit. Representatives from across the state, like Representative Ana Biescamani from my district, served as a witness in it. So we've been in close collaboration, and we're hoping that the decision will close down the facility. I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, the state says this meets all requirements and crime working order, but you would disagree with that.
We disagree with it, but the other thing is, depending on what area they're talking about this in, the state contends that different people are running the place. In one of the lawsuits, they're saying the federal government is not involved here. But in the last trip, they told me that every single decision is being made by ICE and the federal government. In another lawsuit, they say, oh no, the federal government's calling all the shots. The ambiguity is part of their strategy to stay away from being held accountable. And that's part of the reason why my trip here is very important today. I'm going to get to see things that they didn't show us last time.
Any federal judge, Kathleen Williams, will shut this place down, expected to rule by tomorrow.
Our hope is that, yes, and I've mentioned that a few times, our hope is that she'll shut this place down, and we've been working with the plaintiffs on this case very closely. We hope that they'll shut this place down. We're also here to gather more information as it relates to this case, but also future cases coming down the line. Well, number one, every poll shows that Donald Trump is underwater on immigration. Most Americans do not agree with what he's doing. Most Republicans don't agree with what he's doing. And most swing voters that voted for him are now coming out saying they disagree with this as well. In fact, because of what Donald Trump has done, support for a speedy path to citizenship is at an all-time high. It has never been this popular in the history of this country between both Democrats and Republicans. So it's not true that the majority of Americans agree with this. They're appalled when they see masked ICE agents going into their communities, terrorizing their people, pulling kids from school desks and going into churches and terrorizing our people. That's not what we want. Of course we want a safe country. Of course we want everyone following the laws. But we don't want our communities to be terrorized, and that's what's going on right now. From Washington, D.C. to here in the state of Florida. So most people are against this. And what I would ask the few people that are for it, what I would ask them to realize is ask themselves, number one, this country, we've seen gun violence go down the last 3 years. Why? Because we passed good gun laws to keep our people safe. Because we had a White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention that Donald Trump got rid of on the first day. So this talking point that the Republicans in Congress and Donald Trump are working to keep us safe is not true. The numbers show it. And we have to ask ourselves as Americans, not only do we feel safer, but are we safer now than we have been before? And when I speak with communities in the city I represent of Orlando, people feel less safe, especially immigrant families who don't even feel like they can send their citizen children to school or send their citizen children to church. And that's the chaos that Donald Trump has created because he's trying to make a spectacle of things. There's a campaign promise he didn't fulfill. He said he wanted to lower the cost of living. The cost of living has gone up way more. He said we're not going to engage in these forever wars. We're going to focus on America. We're not focusing on America. We're sending weapons to other countries. And we're sending money all around the world, except not focusing on the fact that our people don't have health care. Our people can't afford to eat. Our people can't afford to send their children to school or pay for a roof over their head. Donald Trump isn't focused on that because he's focused on helping billionaires and mega corporations. And this place isn't any different than that. Because the last time I was here, I saw 2 private jets on the airfield that belong to executives from the private corporations that are running the place. This is a money racket in here. I barely saw law enforcement last time, all private security. And who's making the money? Private corporations and the billionaires. It is all connected, and it's all part of the same story, using immigration and using ICE to benefit the 1%. And so whether you're a Democrat or Republican, Donald Trump wants you to look around at your neighbors as part of the reason why we have an affordability crisis in this country, instead of looking up at the people like him.
Who is giving you the tour, and will you be doing an exit interview here when you're done?
When I come out, I will, if anyone wants to stick around, I'll talk about what I saw and what I heard from the immigrants on this tour. It'll be, I'm not sure exactly who's going to be giving the tour, but the main thing is I'm speaking with people directly, which I was unable to do last time.
And this isn't a surprise to them, like they arranged, you asked that, they arranged actually you're allowed to speak.
We arranged yesterday to speak with some specific detainees that are here.
Is there anything you know in English, Christina?
Yeah, I just thought like you're get you on the backside. That's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting in here.
Yeah, when I come out after, if anyone's here, I'm happy to address.
Anything you can say in Spanish?
Sí, mira, estamos aquí para luchar por los inmigrantes. Sabemos que aquí, en que se llama Alligator Alcatraz.
That is Congressman Maxwell Frost, a Democrat representing Florida's 10th District, who is speaking live now at Alligator Alcatraz ahead of a visit there where he says he is going to be able to speak with several detainees there, something that he said he was not allowed to do last time. Also hopes to see a couple different areas of the facility that he also says they were not allowed to see last time, including the segregation unit, the medical facility, a couple of other places as well, all part of a push, as he said, to get the facility shut down. We know there are ongoing lawsuits and legal battles. We do expect a decision from a judge in one of those cases either today or tomorrow. You heard Congressman Frost reference that as well. But getting a visit as a lawmaker, conducting, they are able to conduct these oversight visits. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. It is time now for our Tampa Connection, and for that we go to Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay, joining us live now from the Fox 13 newsroom. And Nancy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Garrett. Thanks for having me. Today, we're going to begin with an update to a story we've been talking about for a few months now. A former Polk County deputy who's accused of killing 2 people on the Courtney Campbell Causeway, who skipped town right before his DUI manslaughter trial, has been captured in Colombia. We learned that former Polk County deputy Joshua Roloffs was arrested at a hotel in Colombia, and he was flown back to Florida yesterday to face charges. Tampa police say Roloffs was driving more than 100 miles an hour on April 13th of 2022 when he slammed into the back of a Kia Sorento on the Courtney Campbell Causeway, killing 2 of the 4 people inside. The other 2 people inside that car were critically injured. Now, a month later, Roloffs was arrested on several charges, including 2 counts of vehicular homicide and DUI manslaughter. Jury selection for that trial was supposed to begin this past April, but Roloffs was a no-show. And when he did not show up for court, the judge issued a warrant for his arrest and revoked his bond, saying he would reassess the case once Roloffs was back in custody. Last week, the Tampa Police Department said the U.S. Marshals Task Force provided information on Roloffs' whereabouts in Colombia. And Colombian authorities, they were alerted to his whereabouts, and Roloffs was arrested. As I mentioned, he was flown back to Florida yesterday. And earlier today, State Attorney Severance Lopez spoke about Roloffs' capture.
From the little that I have learned about his life in Colombia, he was living in a luxury resort. And he was out there living his life, not ever thinking that anybody was going to catch up with him in this luxurious setting in Colombia. But our law enforcement partners, both down there and up here, work together, and we're going to get justice for this family because he's here now.
Now, Roloffs is currently in the Hillsborough County Jail, where he's being held without bond. Now, as I mentioned, he is a former Polk County deputy. He did work for the Polk County Sheriff's Office, but was not employed there at the time of the crash. The Polk County Sheriff's Office tells us his employment ended in 2015 after he was arrested for falsifying a time card. Now, we did speak with family members of those 2 people who were killed on the Courtney Campbell Causeway back in April of 2022, and they said that they were extremely frustrated that Roloffs did not show up for trial and skipped town. So we're unsure of when this DUI manslaughter trial will begin or what the next steps are with that, but hopefully this brings some relief to the family of those victims that he is back in Florida and will be held accountable for his actions. Garrett?
Skipped town, skipped the country, but they tracked him down eventually. My goodness.
Yes, they did track him down, and as Severance Lopez was talking about, apparently he was living in some luxury hotel down in Colombia. Again, he left town or left the country right before his trial was set to begin this past April, so apparently he was living the life of luxury for a few months, but he was captured, and he is sitting in the Hillsborough County Jail right now on no bond. All
right, story number 2, and that's some pickleball drama in Hillsborough County.
Yes. As of right now, the building of pickleball courts in Hillsborough County will remain the same. Earlier today, the Board of County Commissioners voted not to temporarily halt new pickleball courts near residential neighborhoods. Now, all of this came about when Commissioner Josh Osceola asked the board to suspend permits for any new pickleball courts being built within 250 feet of homes while county staff studied the legal risks and recommended a safe buffer. He wanted the county to take action now because of lawsuits that are being filed against cities as well as homeowners associations across the country. The day after Osceola asked the discussion to be added to today's agenda, 10 homeowners in Apollo Beach filed a lawsuit against the Andalusia Master Association. Now, their complaint claims that the HOA illegally approved converting clay tennis courts into pickleball courts without a community-wide vote. The homeowners argue that pickleball is 4 times louder than tennis, which produces thousands of sharp pops, if you will, and those sharp pops are happening all the time. They say the sound is unbearable. It reduces property values and even poses health risks. Now, the suit is asking a judge to permanently block the project and restore the tennis courts, calling the HOA's move an unlawful overreach. Again, county commissioners opted not to put a temporary hold on the permitting of new pickleball courts within 250 feet of residential homes in Hillsborough County until appropriate distance is obtained by staff. However, the commission voted unanimously to research the growing number of lawsuits against municipalities over pickleball to determine appropriate sound ordinances and distances from residential homes. So Garrett, I'm sure this is not the end of the discussion, but as of right now, the commission voted not to halt placing new pickleball courts within 250 feet of residential homes in Hillsborough County.
Yeah, some pickleball growing pains, and certainly putting some of those neighbors in a pickle, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely. They're definitely in a pickle. But I kind of understand what they're saying. It is definitely louder than tennis. Yeah. And if you live right next to it, the pop, pop, pop sound could be kind of annoying. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah, something to watch. And story number 3, and this is a wild one, Nancy, out of Lutz.
Yes, this is definitely a wild story, and I'll say, Garrett, this is probably the most Florida man story you're going to hear today, or at least hopefully it's the most Florida man story you'll hear today. So last night, Jason Brooks was flying a drone when deputies say that drone made a wrong turn and crashed into a Lutz home. The homeowners called the sheriff's office because this wasn't just a drone that crashed into their home, it was a drone filled with drugs. So after that drone fell from the sky, Brooks actually knocked on the front door because he wanted his drone back. A body camera video released by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office shows Brooks telling deputies that the drone was in the backyard, and the deputy replied with, "You know, we can't just be going into people's backyards." So Brooks told him, "I know. That's why I knocked." So the sheriff's office said that the homeowners did turn over that drone along with multiple bags of methamphetamine and fentanyl to the deputies. Brooks was arrested and is facing several charges, including possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell or deliver, driving with a canceled, suspended, or revoked driver's license, as well as having an out-of-county warrant. Now, jail records show that Brooks is being held without bond because of that outstanding warrant. Garrett?
Wow, I so much to the story that we could talk about here. It's one thing to fly a drone with drugs, but if you're going to do that, you probably want to make sure you know what you're doing when it comes to piloting that thing.
Yes, you definitely want to make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure that you have the right address. That's
not that we condone it at all.
They were home and they were just like, yeah. What is this? Why is there a drone that crashed? And on top of that, that drone was filled with drugs.
Gosh, yeah. Crazy story. Nancy Gay, we appreciate you joining us with our Tampa Connection today.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us this afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. The conversation over redistricting is continuing. Let me give you a live look right now inside the Texas House of Representatives. It appears there's a point of order surrounding one of the amendments that they are considering. Let's just listen in for a minute and see if we can. Well, it appears things may be on hold right now. I'm not getting any audio from that feed, so it appears that while there is a point of order, they're trying to sort some things out. But these are amendments to the bill that would create new congressional district maps in the state of Texas in an effort to create more Republican winnable seats ahead of the midterms. This is something that we know the state of Florida is looking at because of the changes in population and demographics here in the Sunshine State as well. Last night, the Florida Democratic Party held a virtual news conference to talk about some of their concerns with those efforts going on here. They also talked about joint efforts between Texas Democrats as well to fight these efforts. I want to play for you a little bit of this news conference as we heard from some of these officials here in Florida about fighting the redistricting push here.
I mentioned I've been working in Florida politics for over 10 years, including during the 2021 redistricting process where we fought maps that undermined Black and brown representation. What we saw then and what we're seeing now in Texas, and also what we're preparing for what is to come in Florida, are direct attacks on our democracy. We've had a few members of our sorority who were deeply impacted, and so we worked with a lot of the groups on the ground around advocacy and letting our voices be heard. And so how we organized during the Texas special session was we first met with local organizations, leaders, state legislators who were able to give direct direction based on what was happening on the ground. We hosted forums with legislators and community leaders to educate our members in the community. From there, we provided talking points, toolkits, encouraged our members to speak out at hearings, send emails, and make calls. We talked a lot about speaking out, but oftentimes just having a presence speaks volumes. So attending those hearings where they often do these things where they assume the community and general public are not paying attention. So when we just have people take up space in those hearings, it definitely speaks and holds a lot of room. And then we also encouraged our members to financially support leaders who were on the front lines of the fight. We heard from our Texas legislators. We know that some of them were impacted financially, they were fined. And so while we can't directly give, we encourage people to give. And so while we are not exactly sure what is to come in Florida, I think it's safe to assume, honestly, the worst. We do need to be prepared. The good thing is that organizing in multiple states, but primarily here in Florida, we are uniquely positioned. There are multiple civic engagement tables and organizations that are ready to take action, who have been meeting and working together on the ground. And so I feel very confident that groups will take action here in Florida. But here are some ways that we can get involved and start preparing now for the advocacy work that is ahead.
Now, I was in the House and the Senate of the state of Florida, but I was also the counsel to fair districts when we first put these things on the ballot. And I want to tell you, they were not passed. Those fair district amendments were not passed to help Democrats. They were passed to create fairness for everybody. The League of Women Voters, the NAACP, those were our clients. And we can win. We sued back then. Well, first, millions were spent against these amendments, and still 63% of Floridians said, no, we don't want partisan gerrymandering. A few years later, we sued the legislature and the governor on the maps they created. And because the Fair Districts Amendments says you cannot draw a district to favor or disfavor a party or an incumbent, we went to the courts and we won there. It was our maps that were put in, not the governor and not the legislature's map. So, you can win these battles. I believe that the Florida Fair Districts Amendments are still vital. They still exist, and they still demand that we not have partisan gerrymandering. I think the court in the last session decided to only talk about what's called the diminishment clause, but did not impact in any way the obligation of the legislature and the governor to not partisan gerrymander. When we sued last time, when we did the lawsuits in 2015, we actually had to struggle to prove why they were doing it. We don't have to struggle to prove that right now. We know why they're doing it because the President of the United States and the leader of the Republican Party has said why they want to do it. They want more Republicans. And they can't do that according to our Constitution. So we have the courts, but there's something else I think people have to understand. You know, in the darkness, bad things can happen. I remember once I was in the legislature and I was in the office of the Republican chair of the Appropriations Committee. And I was there to sort of have a heart-to-heart with him about cuts to education and our healthcare in the state of Florida. And I said, how do you do this? How can you do this? And he pointed to the window in his office, which was the prime office the Republicans had. And I said, what's out there? And he said, go look. And it was the, you know, sort of the concourse in the middle of the Capitol, if you've ever been there. And I said, there's nothing out there. And he said, exactly. There's nobody here. Nobody cares.
Wow.
We can do what we want. And the point is that when you show up at these places, when you knew there will, when you let them know that there will be pain if they follow this road and they do things that residents and citizens and voters of all political stripes don't want them to do, there will be pain on election day, and you've got to show up.
Because this is about you. This is about democracy. This is about quality way of life. This is about reducing our cost of living. But we don't have people in Congress who understand the assignment that they're here to represent you. Then we have lost democracy. And I think that what Dan's comments, you know, closing out and the previous speaker was so on point, that these Republicans in Florida feel that they can get away with everything. They can build a $450 million detention center in the middle of the Everglades, putting American citizen, TPS recipients, DACA recipients, Visa card holders, families inside of Alcatraz, and now building a new detention center, all in the cloak of darkness because the legislature has not allocated those resources. That is because of an emergency executive order that has been in place now since 2023. All of these things are happening, and we have to hold the Republicans accountable in this moment. And the only way that we are going to do that is to put the fear of God into them, that the people of our state, not just Republicans, independents, Democrats, are coming together and saying enough is enough. We want leaders to be standing up for our quality way of life, to make sure that our communities are safe, making sure that we can afford our property insurance, that we can afford to purchase a home, that we can afford our rent, we can afford our health care, that seniors have an ability to have a quality way of life when they've moved here or retired here in the state of Florida. To our veterans, Florida has 1.3 million veterans, one of the largest states with active military. And meanwhile, we're hearing from veterans can't get into the VA, they can't get their services, they can't see their doctors, their nurses, their healthcare access. And that is why it is important that we have a 2026 election that is based on the issues, not on this partisan drawing of the maps. And if you hear what Ron DeSantis says, and I'm going to curse for a second, so if you have an issue with cursing, but turn off for a second. But he's talking out of both of his asses when he is talking about you know, at one second he's talking about is the population changes and the movements from 2020, but yet there's no data to support that. And that we need a new census. Oh, we can have it without the census, and we need another seat. I mean, they don't have an actual clear message, because when you're going into a situation with malice and with an intent to harm, then you have no good reasons. And so, but it's going to be on Florida Democrats and Floridians to stand up and say, we are not going to sit back. We are going to fight in this moment. We're going to be in the trenches every single day, but we need you. We need you making phone calls to your legislative leaders, to your legislators who are representing you, not necessarily the Democrats. They know where we are. The Republicans need to hear that if they do what they plan on doing, they are going to get out of office, because we are going to beat them in the polls, and we're going to beat them at the actual elections in 2026. But we have to put that pressure on them now.
We'll be right back with more Florida Live after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We're just 9 days out from the start of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. A lot of excitement and anticipation for it, and now just a week and a half away. And earlier I had the chance to speak with Theron White, who's the lead publisher of EYNTK.info. Also talked with Matt Prevor. He's on social as at HHN Speculation Matt, and we talked about all the progress of those preparations leading up to the start of Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, I feel like we constantly talk about Horror Nights and we're always excited to see the next thing. And then bam, all of a sudden we're here. 9 days out, there's so many things to go and explore and do. I know that first weekend is going to be slammed. I have already had friends that were like, maybe I won't come this year. And then they saw all the announcements and they bought their tickets. So the fans are very, very excited.
Matt, you've been tweeting out a lot of pictures of the progress of the preparations for this. I want to show some of them and kind of talk us through what you've seen as they've really made a lot of progress on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, starting in about mid-July, we start seeing just a simple lighting truss. And then before you know it, we have all these props and food booths, and we practically have our whole event in front of us. And it's just incredible to see the progress. It's incredible to see how quickly the teams put the event together, and truly, especially this year, how much detail they're putting into all of this. It's really incredible to see.
Matt, what stands out to you about what you've seen so far as some of this progress goes?
I think just the scale of this year's event. We can look at things like the house in the scare zone called the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. That area where this house is located is not typically used for a scare zone, or it hasn't been in a very long time. And to walk into that area and just see the scale of that building, you would think you would see that in a haunted house, but no, that's in the middle of the park. And you see that all around, all these big structures and things that have been put together. It's truly great to see.
Theron, talk to us about Club Horror.
Yeah, so there are only going to be 4 official scare zones this year, and there's going to be some new street entertainment. What that means is basically the same thing for someone that's walking around. You might not notice the difference, but Universal's going to be categorizing it separately. This Club Horror, it looks like we're going to have a DJ set up. They've got some stuff set up where they're going to be able to serve drinks, and it sounds like we're going to have a nightclub in the middle of the park, which I think is very, very interesting and exciting. We've already had those scare zones and people love to walk around and enjoy that space. But now this area is going to be a little less scary, a little more exciting, and maybe something just to go and hang out with. We don't know all of the details yet, so I think opening night, that area will definitely be something that people are checking out to kind of see, is this a success? Is this something that we want to see going forward? We've had some themed bars near that area in San Francisco before, where we've had character pop-ups, and maybe we'll see that again. This is already at the exit of the Fast and Furious Supercharge attraction, which during the day has some music in that area. So I'm interested to check that out. I think this could be a big fan favorite. Halloween Horror Nights is not always just about being scary. A lot of people go there just to enjoy the vibes. And this is just another great thing we've seen. We've seen artists in the past, like The Weeknd, show up, and that was a huge fan. They love that area. They love that haunted house, and looks like we're getting something like that again.
What do we think is going to be the biggest draw? What should people know and kind of prepare for with Halloween Horror Nights?
So, the IP slate this year is pretty much unprecedented. The popularity of all of these properties are incredible to see. I see it in my posts each day. The support is incredible. You see Five Nights at Freddy's. People love that. Terrifier, Jason, the Wyatt Six from WWE. It's just incredible to see how big these properties are. So I would just, expect those long lines. It's going to be a busy year, but, the best thing about it is we're all back in the fog, and it's going to be a great time. And I'm really looking forward to seeing these houses. Again, these properties are huge. So pack your patience, but it's still going to be a lot of fun.
There's a new stay and scream policy as well. Can you explain to folks, Theron, what that means?
Yeah, so it used to be before that you would kind of show up and have proof that, of course, you were in the park, or you could buy a ticket to get into the park for the last couple of hours. And then that would allow you to get in line earlier to go to some of the haunted houses. for Halloween Horror Nights. Now, instead of being put into a line exactly and kind of corralled into this area, you'll be able to get a wristband that's going to let you kind of roam around the park, and then at a select time, you'll be able to get in line for those houses. So I really think that's just going to make it a little bit easier for people that are visiting. It's going to get Universal, I'm sure, more money for merchandise and more money for food, because those people are going to take their time and instead go around the stores and do some stuff that they might have missed, because they would have been focused on the houses. It's kind of like what we see down the street at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Disney gives out these wristbands, and then as the park starts to close, they send security slowly through the lands, and they find out who has a wristband and who doesn't, and they take the people who don't have the ticket for that night and say, all right, it's time to go. I think that looks like it's going to be a win. I think that's going to help fans. I think it's going to make it a little less chaotic. We'll have to see opening day, but they already kind of tested that at the Universal Annual Pass Holder Nights anyway, and it seemed like it worked.
What are some of the best ways that people can prepare for opening weekend if you're going? Maybe it's your first time. Maybe you don't know what to expect. What do you recommend? I want to ask both of you, but we'll start with Theron.
I definitely recommend bringing a rain jacket. For some reason, Halloween Horror Nights is famous for getting rained out on its opening weekend. I don't know what it is, but it's almost every single time. You also are going to want to pack some patience. Like Matt said, it's going to be busy there. I mean, it's opening weekend of the biggest Halloween event in the entire world. It's a ton of fun, but just don't go into opening night expecting to see all 10 houses. If you have a pass, I go around, enjoy some of those areas, check out those details, because I mean, again, these scare zones, and I'm sure the houses will be too, but we can already see the immense amount of detail. So go, enjoy, take your time, try a couple things here and there. If you only have one night to go, definitely set a plan and prioritize. But if you have the pass, just enjoy the weekend.
Matt, what do you recommend, folks? What advice do you give?
I'm going to second Theron as well for the rain jacket. It always rains opening weekend. You need to come prepared with some sort of poncho. But yeah, I would also, like he said, be prepared for those crowds. If you're able to, maybe look into an express pass or an RIP tour experience just to ensure that you can get through all 10 houses in one night if you have limited time. But most importantly, just remember to have fun. This is what we've been waiting for all year long. This is just going to be an incredible year. Go with a group, have some fun, eat, drink, get some merchandise, and you'll have a great time.
Certainly things to look forward to. Here's a live look where we're expecting to